is on ABS TV. Many thanks for joining us for Sports Today on ABS TV. I'm Ike Nwokedi. Of course, we begin the show by telling you that there is a new dawn for sports in the state as the Anambra State School Sports Festival enters at the local government stage. We'll tell you about the NFF Tingo Federations Cup, which enters the round of 8. That's the quarterfinals. We'll also be talking about football at the international scene. We've got tennis news, athletics news, and then we'll probably serve you the fixtures of league matches across some major leagues in Western Europe on the Sports Show, Sports Today on ABS TV. Let's begin the show with our first story of the program. It's all about the press conference held yesterday at the SSG Conference Hall at the Government House. All about the program of the Anambra State Sports Development Commission, talking about the Anambra School Sports Initiative, reinventing the wheels, and then bringing back sports at the grassroots level. Let's tell you that Anambra State Governor Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo has reinvented School Sports Festival in the state after it went moribund for over a decade. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the festival held on Thursday in Oka, Governor Soludo said the reinvention was well thought and describing sports as a very essential tool in the life of every child, while also highlighting the benefits of school sports to include improved health, improved fitness, improved academic performance, and improve our social relation among others. The governor, who was represented by the State Commissioner for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Community Affairs, Honorable Tony Collins Amwabuwane, reiterated his administration's commitment towards promoting sports and sporting activities in the state, as well as propelling overall development of the state. He further revealed that many sporting activities have been going on at the Oka City Stadium, while many developmental projects are currently going on in different parts of the state, courtesy of the state government. The governor further highlighted that the Office of the United Nations Development, UNDP, will be commissioned in the state in few days' time, while many other foreign partners and investors have shown interest and desire to come into the state as a result of the multifaceted transformation going on in the state. Earlier in his address of welcome at the Chairman Anambra State Sports Development Commission, Honorable Patrick Estate Onyedum, explained that the festival tagged the First Solution School Sports Festival was for both public and private primary and secondary schools in the state, and would hold at community levels, local government levels, and senatorial levels, after which the winners at the senatorial levels will compete at the finals of the state level, while noting that a total of 610 schools have already enrolled for the festival. Mr. Onyedum recalled that School Sports Festival was last held in the state over a decade ago, even as he appreciated Governor Soludo for revamping and consummating and supporting the festival, which he said will be organized by the commission in collaboration with the State Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Community Affairs. He further recounted Anambra's past and recent feats in sports both nationally and globally, and expressed the optimism that the sports festival will take the state back to its days of glory in sports. Contributing the State Commissioner for Education, Professor Ngozi Chuma Ude, noted that child's development should be complete, covering both the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain, which reflects learning behavior achieved through sports and neuromuscular motor activities. He commended the leadership of the Sport Development Commission for their efforts in promoting sporting activities in the state, which he said was part of Governor Soludo's all-round development vision for the state, even as she reassured of her unwavering support from her ministry. In a vote of thanks, the chairman, Sports Writers Association of Nigeria, SWAN, Anambra State Chapter, Mr. Tony Oji, described the event as historic and called for its sustenance. Unveiling of the Solution School Sports Festival logo formed at the high points of the occasion. And those pictures you're seeing are from that event held yesterday at the SSG Conference Hall at the Government House, where we had the transition committee chairman of the 21 local governments in attendance to signal the official opening ceremony of the School Sports Festival, an initiative of the Anambra State Sports Development Commission under the leadership of Patrick Estate Enyeduman. Subsequently, on our shows, we'll bring you up to the very latest as regards how the competition is flowing currently now at the local government stage, from then to senatorial stages, and then we'll talk about the finals coming up from the 21st to the 24th of the month. So 610 schools are featuring in this one. It's simply amazing. Moving away from that, let's talk about the NFF Tingo Federation Cup is on at the quarterfinal stages right now. We are set for the quarterfinal stages of the NFF Tingo Federation Cup. Let's tell you that Bendel Insurance of Edo, as you can see on your screen, is expected to take on Sunshine Stars of Ondo, and the match will be played at the Oka City Stadium. Elsewhere, Warri Wolves of Delta will take on Lobby Stars of Makurdi in Benue State. It will be played at the Otumba Deep Odina Stadium in Ijebu-Ode. Plateau United of Jos will play Kwara United of Kwara at the Go Project Area 3. That's in Abuja, while Rangers International FC of Enugu is expected to take on Doma United at the Akure Township Stadium. So Rangers International, Doma United at the Akure Township Stadium. Our own Rangers is on the road, and they will be in Akure, the capital of Ondo State, for this crack coming up later. That's the quarterfinals of the federations, the NFF Tingo Federations Cup. So we hope that the Rangers International will get the better of Doma United, and to get, if Rangers wins this match, for sure we believe that they have what it takes to do that. The Rangers will be through to the semi-finals of the NFF Tingo Federations Cup. So that's the current story right now as regards Rangers International in their quest to come back to the continent. They couldn't do that in the league, but this offers a great opportunity for Rangers International to get into the lead, to get into the CAF Interclub competitions. That's in the mode of the CAF Confederations Cup. Yes, they will be playing the CAF Confederations Cup if they eventually win the 2023 edition of the NFF Tingo Federations Cup. So which Rangers International all the very best as they get set to take on Doma United of Gombe. Yes, Doma United defeated Edel FC by, I think it was 2-0 to qualify for the quarterfinal level stages of the ongoing NFF Tingo Federations Cup. And we'll move away from that. Let's talk about something else. It's about All Stars Football League. All Stars Football League involving all Stars football teams in Anambra State is expected to commence shortly. This followed the resolution from the meeting hosted by the chairman, Anambra State Football Association, Chikelo Ilenyosu, which was attended by the representatives of various all-stars football teams all at the FA office at Udoka Estate, Oka. Ilenyosu, while addressing the meeting, informed them that it is his policy to carry everybody along in the scheme of things as far as football is concerned, and noting that all stars being ex-footballers cannot be left out, hence the need for a league that will bring all of them together. He thanked them for honoring the invitation to the meeting. In his remark, the FA acting secretary Ralph Nweke pointed out that modalities will be worked out with regards to registration, eligibility, identification, and format for the league in their various contributions. That the members specifically emphasized that the age limit for participation should not be less than 40 or 45. According to them, the meeting later mandated the FA chairman Ilenyosu to set up a committee to come up with modalities for the league and create a WhatsApp forum for easy communication. So that's about All Stars Football competition, which is expected to come very shortly. It's a program of the Anambra State Football Association. And now moving away, let's talk about our national team. Under 20 national team is currently in Argentina for the ongoing FIFA Under 20 World Cup, and what a story it's been for Team Nigeria after that event. In our first game, we saw off Dominican Republic, and now in our second game, we got the better of Italy. as Salim Fago, Lawasa driving header, and Jude Sunday's last gasp finished end Nigeria victory over Italy in an end-to-end encounter at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Argentina. The result left the Flying Eagles and the Azzurri on 6 and 3 points respectively after 2 games apiece in Group D before Brazil faced the Dominican Republic in the other group's match that was 2 days ago. Victory sealed the Flying Eagles spot in the round of 16 and will now face Brazil in the last group match which is coming up on Sunday, and on that was on Thursday yesterday to be precise, in Mendoza. Both Nigeria and Italy, or rather on Wednesday, both Nigeria and Italy had chances in the first half with Tommaso Baldanzi testing at the hands of Kingsley and Nyaboso, and the opening goal arrived just after the hour. Half-time substitute Ume Emmanuel and Gabriel Guarino collided inside the Italian box, but the latter sprung straight up and dinked at the ball back across goal, and Salim Fago Lawal flung himself into the air and headed into a semi-guarded net. Thereafter, Nigeria's admirable defending reduced Italy to shots from outside the box, and Daniel Montevago had the best of them, but called his effort wide. In stoppage time, Nigeria's made absolutely sure of the victory by scoring, and goalkeeper Nyaboso got the assist. He is up a field, finding the rampaging Sunday, who struck it across goal and into the bottom corner to seal all the 3 points available for the Flying Eagles at the ongoing FIFA Under-20 World Cup happening in Argentina. We'll move away from that. Let's talk about what's happening as regards football election-wise. Let's tell you that Lagos State was on the spotlight, and that was some 2 days ago, as Faud Oki was elected as the chairman of the Lagos State Football Association, and will now replace former Nigeria Football Federation NFF first vice president Barrister Seyi Akinwumi to run Eko Football. We here in a keenly contested election which took place at the Mobile Laji Johnson Stadium in Onika, Lagos. Oki defeated the former acting chairman Tade Aziz as he polled 13 votes against his challenger, who got only 1 vote. Also in the polls, Gafa Olawale Liamid also emerged as the vice chairman of the Lagos FA, and the CEO of 36 Lions FC of Lagos defeated Dotun Koka by 10 points to 4. At his post-election and acceptance speech, Oki expressed gratitude and appreciation for the love and support given to him, and he promised to continue in the good works of the former NFF first vice president and the former FA chairman of Lagos State, in the person of Seyi Akinwumi. Moving on. The federal government has inaugurated the new board members of the National Institute for Sports at the NIS with a view to providing effective governance and policy direction for the institution with and the enabling instruments that establishes it. The Honorable Minister of Sports and Youth Development, Sunday Dare, while inaugurating the board in his office in Abuja, and that was on Thursday, called on them to bring their wealth of experience to bear in ensuring that the realization of the mission and mandate of the institute. The minister observed that the institution was topmost in Africa for sports administration before suddenly it lost its glory, but expressed optimism that with the commitment of President Muhammadu Buhari's led administration to sports development in the country, as well as the appointment of seasoned sports administrators into the new board, he believed that the institution will occupy its pride of place in Africa. Again, he added that with the recent approval of the National Sports Industry Bill, NSIP, which provides for private sector participation in sports as a business and not mere recreation, the challenge of funding and other related issues concerning sporting activity in Nigeria will soon be a 18 of the past, the minister stated. He informed that though efforts are ongoing to establish the first university of sports in the country, the institute till then remains the nation's sports institution that needs a credibility of examination process to ensure its certificate is fully recognized. Diary stated further that the ministry has signed a 10-year football master plan which is aimed at addressing the fundamental anomalies that have plagued the development of football in the country for the benefit of the broader strata of the society. And speaking earlier, the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Sports and Youth Development, Alhaji Ismail Abubakar, called on the board members to partner with the relevant institutions and stakeholders in order to realize the mission and vision of the institute. He assured that the ministry will continue to support the board to ensure it succeeds in the discharge of its mandate. Responded, the board chairman, Barrister Danladi Ibrahim, thanked President Muhammadu Buhari, the Honorable Minister of Sports and Youth Development, as well as the top management staff of the administration for the privilege given to them to serve, assuring that they will bring in their wealth of experience to bear in ensuring the realization of the institute's mandate. It is. And now, away from that, let's go to the African Foreign Legion. Everton have triggered a one-year option to keep their midfielder Abdullahi Dokore at the club until the end of 2023-2024 campaign. The 30-year-old was out of contract this summer, but the Toffees have exercised the choice of a further year. Dokore has made 92 appearances and scored 9 goals since joining from Watford for £20 million, and that's in 2020. Sean Dyche's side are currently 2 points above the relegation zone and host Bournemouth at the Goodison Park. And Dokore fell out of favor under former manager Frank Lampard, but has played an integral role under Dyche, netting 4 goals in his last 9 games for the Toffees. And that's the story about Abdullahi Dokore. And now, quickly away from football, let's go to Formula One. In Formula One, Lewis Hamilton says he has not been in talks with Ferrari, and he and Mercedes are close to agreeing a new contract to keep him at the team beyond the season. Hamilton's deal with the Silver Arrows runs out at the end of the season, we hear, and he said that he had a team working with Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff on the new contract. This week, there have been reports that Ferrari had contacted Hamilton about him switching to the Italian team. Hamilton said that Mercedes struggles too. Hamilton said Mercedes struggles to be competitive since 2022 don't have a bearing on him wanting to stay with the team. And now to some tennis news on the show. Novak Djokovic has been drawn in the same half of the French Open men's singles draw as Carlos Alcaraz, meaning the pair could meet in the semi-finals of the tennis championship. World number 1, Alcaraz, playing his first major as a Grand Slam champion, starts against a qualifier, and Djokovic is seeded third as he goes for a record 23rd men's major title and plays American Alexander Kovacevic. And Cameron Norrie, one of only 3 British players in the singles, starts against Francis Benoit Paire. And former world number 1 Andre Andy Murray withdrew last week to focus on the upcoming grass court season. Emma Raducanu, who would have received a place in the main draw, is also not playing following surgical operations on both her wrist and ankle. As a result, no Britain feature in the women's singles. 6 players are lost in the qualifying rounds we hear. It is the first time the nation is not represented in a Grand Slam main draw since the 2009 US Open, and the French Open, which is the second major Grand Slam of the season, starts at the Roland Garros clay, and that's coming up on Sunday. But it's quite sad that we won't be having British tennis players, the female British tennis players are featuring in that one And the last time we happened, it was when we had the US Open, and that was in 2009. About 6 of them are out with injuries, and we hope that they recover in time to represent their nation. And Sports Today, it is, that's what you're watching live in our studio in Oka. Now, let's get to our next story. And our next story is about athletics. An indoor track and field competition is set to be renamed Short Track. That's the story coming through in a change by the World Athletics. World Athletics are with their change. They used to answer the International Association of Athletics Federation. Now they are called the World Athletics. And now indoor and track competition will now be called a short track, which are the governing body hopes that will help grow the sports. Indoor championships will remain, but the move is intended to encourage a competition innovation. We hear with the traditional indoor 200 meters track are providing flexibility for outdoor use in cities, and performances on outdoor or temporary 200 meters tracks would be recognized as official results, including records. It will come into effect on the 1st of November, we hear. And World Athletics President Lord Coe said that the change will open a world of opportunities for the sport and encourage a growth through investment in new infrastructure. And the governing bodies that accompany proposed a new world record list that includes a separate short track records for events ranging from 200 meters to 5,000 meters. Athletics has traditionally been divided between outdoor competition on a 400-meter track and indoor competition on a 200-meter track. However, World Athletics has said hybrid competition venues such as city squares has made the separation increasingly difficult to maintain, and the World Athletics Council will formally approve the rule changes at the August meeting that's coming up in Budapest, the capital city of Hungary. And in football, Arne Slot says that he wants to stay as the coach or manager of Feyenoord Football Club, ruling himself out of contention for the job at Tottenham Hotspur. The 44-year-old Dutchman had been heavily linked with a move to Spurs after Antonio Conte's sacking in the month of March. And Slot, who led Feyenoord to the 2022-2023 Eredivisie title, held talks with the Rotterdam-based club on Wednesday about a potential extension to his contract. And after Conte sacking, Christian Stellini was appointed Spurs interim manager but was dismissed after 4 games. And Ryan Mason took over as interim boss for a second spell, having previously held the role briefly at the end of the 2020-2021 season. 8th place Spurs have since taken just 4 points from 6 matches and play relegation, threatening Leeds United in the final game of the campaign coming up on Sunday. And former Bayern Munich boss Julian Nagelsmann was previously linked with a move to Tottenham Hotspur, but they did not hold talks with the German. They did approach Brighton manager Roberto De Zerbi, according to journalist Guillaume Balaguer, and were linked with Burnley manager Vincent Kompany before he signed a new deal with the championship winners. And Burnley will be playing in the Premier League with Vincent Kompany come next season. Now, time before we jet on the show, let's talk about league fixtures across Western Europe. Let's go to France. Angers will take on Troyes in the French Ligue 1 to wrap up the season. Clermont Foot will play Lorient. Is Lens at home to ASC Ajaccio. Nantes is away to Lyon. Lyon will play Reims. Marseille will play Brest, and Montpellier will host Nice. Rennes is at home to Monaco. In other matches, PSG is on the road to Strasbourg. Toulouse will welcome Auxerre, and those are the matches to be played in the French League 1. Moving on to Germany, Bochum will play Bayer Leverkusen. Is Borussia Dortmund expected to trade tackles with Mainz 05. Borussia Mönchengladbach versus Augsburg. Freiburg will travel to Eintracht Frankfurt, and FC Cologne is at home to Bayern Munich. RB Leipzig will welcome Schalke 04. Union Berlin will host Werder Bremen, while Stuttgart is at home to Hoffenheim, and Wolfsburg will play Hertha Berlin. In Italy, Salernitana will play Udinese. Spezia is at home to Torino. Fiorentina versus Roma. Inter Milan will play Atalanta. Verona will play Empoli. Bologna is at home to Napoli. Monza will take on Lecce, and Lazio is at home to Cremonese. Juventus will play AC Milan, while Sampdoria is at home to Sassuolo in their match. In Spain, talking about the La Liga Santander, Sevilla will host Real Madrid at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan. Almeria is at home to Real Valladolid. Athletic Bilbao at the San Mamés will welcome Elche in their match. Atletico Madrid at the Wanda Metropolitano will host Real Sociedad. Real Mallorca will travel to the Camp Nou, where Barcelona will be hosting. Cadiz will welcome Celta Vigo. Getafe at the Coliseum Alfonso Perez will take on Osasuna. Girona will play Real Betis. Rayo Vallecano is at home to Villarreal, and Valencia at the Mestalla will hope to take on Espanyol also this weekend. In England, the Premier League officially comes to a close on Sunday. Matches to be played on Sunday. Arsenal will take on Wolverhampton Wanderers. Aston Villa is at home at the Villa Park to Brighton and Hove Albion. Brentford will welcome Manchester City. Is Chelsea playing Newcastle United? Crystal Palace is at home to Nottingham Forest. Everton will play Bournemouth. Leeds United is at home to Tottenham Hotspur. Leicester City will welcome West Ham United at the King Power Stadium. And Manchester United will take on Fulham, and Southampton, relegated Southampton, will take on Liverpool. And that's the way it's going to go down this weekend in league matches across Western Europe. And the last one was that of England. Already we know that Manchester City have won the league out there in England, while also in Italy is a story of Victor Osimhen with his club Napoli winning the Scudetto out there in Italy. That's the show for the morning. Thank you very much for being part of a Friday edition of Sports Today and being with us all through from Monday to Friday. And the show takes a break now, and we are adjourned to return on Monday for another episode. My name is Ike Nwoke, the happy watching, and of course I expect you to be fully active and get involved in sports all through this weekend. Bye-bye now.